we're going to explore how GIS can be utilized to empower local authorities to make data-driven decisions for more efficient, more informed, and more sustainable governance. So in the webinar, we look at a bit of introduction just to understand what GIS can be utilized for in local authorities, some of the objectives that are found within the solution that we will be showcasing today, a solution outlook, and some solution modules. Our key focus today is going to be on health, revenue management, and land management systems. And we'll do a demo to give you just a hands-on experience to what the system can be able to achieve. As Victor mentioned, kindly, if you have any questions, you can type them out in the comment section or wait out until the very end, where we'll give an opportunity for you to also go ahead and ask questions. So local governments need GIS, and the reason for this is they need to have a tool that will allow for revenue management. And this is because they need to have an optimized tax collection system, being able to identify undeclared property within the local governments that they are in, and also in enhancing of fiscal planning. And this is through spatial data analysis. So with GIS, the county governments will be able to know exactly what revenue sources are available within their boundaries, one, and also where these revenue sources are located. So you'll be able to have that spatial component of knowing the locations for these revenue streams. And also just coming up and developing policies that will ensure adequate and maximum revenue is collected from the revenue streams that have been identified. I know in Kenya it's very key, as much as the local government gets some funds from the national government, it's still very key to have a way for them to be able to generate their own income. And being able to identify geospatially, being able to identify where these resources are, if it's in education, if it's in health, if it's in finance and economic planning, building and construction, lands, transport, just being able to know where all these things are, and then identifying and developing policies that will ensure maximum revenue is collected is very, very important. With that in mind, the system that we'll be showing you today aims to achieve not only improved tax compliance, but also enhancement of property assessment accuracy, and just being able to have an efficient revenue forecasting, being able to tell how much revenue you can look out for, and also ensure equitable resource allocation through spatial data analysis and management. We want to help in answering the very key 6 questions, one being what and who are you targeting in terms of revenue collection? Why and when should you target these revenue streams? Because there are revenue streams that will generate money at a particular time and not at other times. So when and how should you do this? And finally, how and where should you be able to get this revenue coming into the county or into the local government that you're in. So we want to help in answering these key important questions. So at Esri, we approach this through modules that are hosted in a portal, or if you're using the enterprise, or can be hosted in an ArcGIS online. And we enable or ensure that we're enabling every department within these local governments to be able to have a system that they can utilize just spatially for revenue management and resource management. For example, most departments have an education department. So if you have an education department, we can have an education information management system to help with asset management for either people or the items that are within these education facilities. We can also have a land information management system to help with ensuring that we are going through this land information systems and looking at the parcel information, looking at the land rate payments, looking at the tax that people have not paid in terms of land payments that they need to do. And we can also have something for the revenue and finance department. So just allowing them to be able to see how much revenue is being collected within the local entity and what what has not been brought in or what is expected to come in, if it's forecasting for the next 1 year, if it's forecasting for the next 2 or 3 months. So with that in mind, our focus today is going to be on revenue management, health management, and land information systems, as I mentioned. To start us off, we'll have a look at the revenue management module. And this is a system that we've developed. It's online based, which is very advantageous. Anyone can access it from the locations that they're in. And it aims to provide citizens or the local people who are living within these local governments, to provide them with a convenient and secure online payment option for the different services that we may be offering as a county. There are 4 key components that we look at when we are working with a revenue management model. And for this, it's registration, where we want to identify the new businesses that are coming into the local authority. And with this, then we are able to register those businesses. We can either be registering an individual, for example, or a company as well. So just being able to register and capture this in a database that we can still query and access at a later time. We also have the billing component, and the billing component can be carried out either to individuals, you're billing one person, or you can batch bill. So you want to bill people in the liquor business, for example, or in the hotel business, for example. So you can just batch bill all this, and once this is successfully done, invoices are processed and created, and the individuals who are being billed get either email messages on their email boxes or messages on their mobile phones as text messages to let them know that they've been billed for a certain amount for a service that needs to be paid for because they have a business in the local authority. And then we have the payment. Payment is also very important because we want to enable the citizens to be able to have a feel of what they are getting at the end of the day. So if I am a client for probably Nairobi County, I'll get a message telling me I've paid an X amount of money for services that are probably fees or late payments, or even just having a shop in town. So I should be able to see all this information coming into my phone as the client, but at the same time, the county government or the local authority, if it's in Uganda, the district, should be able to see and tell that we have payments that have come in from 20 people today, and these payments are geared towards a particular target revenue or multiple revenue streams. And finally, we have reporting and dissemination. And in reporting and dissemination, it's to help the county government or the local authority in the spaces that we're in to be able to query data, and you're querying either based on the date and time that transactions have been made, you're querying based on the types of transactions as well, and even client names. If you want to find out a shop that is in Nairobi Upper Hill, has it been paid for? You can query based on the registered owner to that business and find out information about them. But again, I'd like to mention that not everyone, this can be achieved using those levels. So we don't want everyone to have access to the information. So there can be those levels that are given to allow different people access different types of information, so that everything is not just put out there for people to see. We then have the land information system module. And with this, we aim to enable local authorities and local governments to be able to search for parcel information. So if you're a planner and you want to search for parcel information, and in this you're looking for acreage, ownership, the land use type, so that even when you're doing your physical plans, you're able to tell this land is only supposed to be used for residential purposes, and so on and so forth, then you can do that by just searching for parcel information. You can also query and do analysis on land rate payments to see exactly what pieces of land have been paid for, land rates, or even how much has not been paid for. And this will be very key to help you in identifying how much revenue being into this particular local authority in terms of land rates. Land is the first resource we have as local authorities. So being able to get as much from it as possible is very important. And this will also enable in now coming up with policies, coming up with regulations that will make it easy for people to pay their land rates on time, ensuring that the county government or the local authority then gets their revenue stream on time. And we also have just a general parcel search where you want to find out probably how much land is being used for public purposes, how much land has been put aside for future development, for example. So you can do these multiple searches and actually query the system to be able to understand where and how these things are located. Finally, we have the health services module, and this has a lot of things within it. If you want to do disease identification and monitoring, if you want to do facility management and asset management, if you want to do household information management, there are so many components that can be integrated into this system, and it's not fixed. It is fit for purpose. So for any local authority, if there's anything that is of interest to them, this can be configured to then be tied to what they want. And with this, we aim to enable local authorities map and profile their health facilities. We also need to enable them to do resource allocation. So you want to understand how much people in terms of assets do you have in hospital A versus hospital B, if it's the nurses, if it's the doctors, if it's the assistants who assist in surgery. So just being able to understand those things. And then we also have the ability for them to be able to do analysis in terms of the different levels. At county level, how much do we have in terms of facilities? At the ward level, at the village level, at the district level. And this will help you in making those very quick decisions once you query the system, to make those quick decisions to understand how much resource is needed elsewhere versus in another place. And finally, it will help in optimal locations. We want to understand what is the best place to locate new health facilities. There is no point to put a new hospital in Nairobi, Upper Hill, when we have no hospitals in Nairobi, Kawangware. So we get to understand where best to put facilities based on the analysis that is done within the system, and we can now better make those informed decisions. So we'll jump straight ahead into our demo. I'd like to just remind you again, if you have any questions, kindly, you can put them up on the chat, as there's a team that will be able to share and help you with that. So to start us off, we're going to look at the health information management system. And this is basically a system to help in the identification of disease. In the instance that we have here, we are monitoring cholera infections within Kenya. We can have other diseases like malaria, we can have COVID. So this can be targeted towards the different diseases. It's just a tool to help in disease identification and management. And you get to see things like the total number of cases, how many of these patients do you have who are inpatient, either inpatient, outpatient, or even unknown. And also important details like the age groups, because you'll find the most vulnerable in the society are more affected with such diseases. So if you want to find out how many people within these different age groups are affected, you get to see it through this panel here. And also important things like distribution by gender, which gender gets affected more. And in the scenario we have here, you can see more of the male gender is affected than the female gender. Then can we find ways to probably educate people more on how to better take care of their food, how to better take care of what they eat to avoid getting this. So just having this in mind is going to be very critical, and also just being able to find out the current status of the total cases that you have. Do we have those who are dead? Do we have those who've been admitted? Do we have those who've been discharged? And even those who are getting outpatient services? Then you can be able to tell that from this bit here. We also have a household information management system, and this is for management of household information, health information, where you want to find out within your county or within the local authority that you're in, how much health, when it comes to things like disability, how many people are disabled, if it's physical, if it's hearing, if it's visual. You also want to find information like the disposal methods for the garbage that they have. Do they bury? Do they recycle? Things like the water treatment methods, things like the insurance covers that they have. So if I want to find out how many people are using NHIF or Britam, for example, you can really dive deep into it through most of these visuals that you're seeing here to really help you make those quick and informed decisions in terms of health. And finally, we have the health and facilities management, which is for facility management and asset management. And here assets, we're looking at people as well as the tools and items found within the health facilities. So for example, if we want to know the bed capacities, we want to know the maternity capacity for these hospitals that are within the area of jurisdiction. If we want to know the court capacity, we can have that analyzed for us in this particular space. And we can also tell how many doctors we have within the local authority, how many nurses do we have. And this will also help in even employing, how many doctors should we employ then this year, because we seem to have a disparity in terms of the numbers, then you get to make that decision. And even on the health facilities, we can tell how many of the facilities we have are functional or not. And even what ownership is it with these facilities? Are most of them government owned? Are most of them provided by NGOs, for example? Are most of them for profit or not? Then you get to really make those decisions from that. The system is very interactive as well. We can dive deep into now searching. For example, if I search here for ginger, you'll see my numbers change and shift. And if I zoom into ginger itself, you'll be able to tell that now I can really look at the numbers in critical sense. I have 658 doctors within the district. I only have one NGO-owned hospital. I have government-owned hospitals being the most. And you see, this will really help in making those informed decisions and those really critical decisions that may influence how the local authority grows in terms of health management and in terms of revenue collection. We then have the land information management system. And with this, we just want to understand how many parcels of land do we have within our local authority? And you can switch in between the layers. So I have this open, I can switch in the parcel layer to see how many parcels of land do we have. Among these parcels, what has been allocated towards residential use, how much has been located towards commercial use, and how much are we giving to public purpose, for example. And then even in terms of land rate payments, how many of these parcels of land are actually having their land rates paid? Because then this will allow you to see that a majority are not really paying. Then can we come up with policies and regulations to ensure that people pay for the land rates that they need? And then land use type. So you want to know how much has been allocated to what particular use of land. And you can see in this instance, public purpose picks a chunk, residential picks a chunk of this. So you get to really understand and make decisions based on what is visually available for you. We'll now go to the revenue management system. And as I mentioned here, we are looking at being able to register new clients, being able to bill these new clients, and also allow them to make payments on the system. So to do that, we'll start by doing an actual registration for a client. And the beauty of this system is you're able to not only decide if you're registering an individual, so we're going to add a new client. So we're going to decide if you're registering an individual or a company. And in this instance, we're going to select an individual. The account is going to be active. We can then put in their ID number. Then we'll give it a name. So we're going to give it webinar test 2. Then we'll give a phone number. Now, the phone number is very important. Remember, we mentioned integration with even the messaging, where now someone can get notified when they have a bill that is due. They can get notified to pay via M-Pesa and so on and so forth. So the number is very important. Then we have the county. So you select which county they are in. We're going to choose Nairobi. Then we'll select the sub-county as Lang'ata, give it an email address and also an address of where they are. For the tax pin, you need to put your tax pin as well. And then you get to decide what target revenue group are you looking at? Are they in fines and penalties? Are they in liquor licensing fees? Are they in market trade center fees? And this can be added. I know there are a number and a multitude of revenue streams that counties or local authorities may have. So that can be added to actually fit what they want. So I may say fines and penalties here. And then we'll give a brief description, which is just going to be fines and penalties, and then we're going to add this. So after you've done that, your client is successfully registered. They are now within the system. And if we do a search, we should be able to see the client and what they want. So we'll just give it a few seconds to load, and then we'll go ahead and search. Yeah, so we have the whole list of clients here. If I do a search, I should be able to see the clients that have registered just now, and I can tell that the account is active, what target revenue group that they're in, and this will help in the billing process. So after your client is registered, we'll go straight ahead to billing. And in billing, we're going to add the client that we've registered, and we'll do this by searching for their ID numbers. So we'd put their ID numbers here, which is this. So we're going to select that client and add them. An invoice is going to be developed for this particular client. So if I search for them here, I should be able to see, but you'll realize the billed amount is currently at 0 and the status is a pending bill. The reason for this is because I haven't billed them. So the next step is to bill this particular client. So I'll come on bill items. And then I am going to now decide on exactly what I want to bill them on. So we'll have the client here, and we're going to select they were under fines and penalties, and I'm going to give them an amount. So I'll give them 100 Kenyan shillings as their penalty, and then I'm going to click on that and click OK. If you want to add more items to that bill, probably there's something else that needs to be added, you'll simply click on add new and add another bill. For now, the amount that they owe us is 100 Kenyan shillings. So I'll go back to this particular place, and you'll see that now I have a billed amount that is 100, which I need to now ensure that this person is billed. So to bill them so that they get an SMS, I'll come to their reference number here to actually visualize the invoice that I've developed for them. This can be shared on email, which will go automatically to them. But I can also now update the system so that the status of the bill that they owe us is currently going to be at billed. So if I click on save, an invoice is now updated, and on my system you'll see the status move from pending bill to billed. So the client needs to then make payments for this particular bill. So I'll go to here and search for my client to make payment. And the system is currently integrated to enable that you can make payment from multiple sources. So if you want to, I'll go to account details. If you want to make payment with credit cards, if you want to make payment with M-Pesa or even Airtel Money, you can go ahead and do that. Now, if I go to the account details, I should be able to see the personal information of the business owner that we are working with, as well as other information like their tax information, the status of the account that they have. And then I can also prompt them to make payment from here. So I'll just click on make payment. And then I am going to be paying 1 shilling. Then I'll click on submit. The system will prompt you to proceed to payment confirmation, where you can now select what method you want to pay with. So in this instance, we have M-Pesa, Airtel Money, Visa, American Express, PesaPal. You can select what is relevant to you. And then we're going to put the number. For our case, we're using M-Pesa, so we'll have to put the number, and then we're going to click proceed. What happens is I am getting a notification on my phone requesting me to make the payment. So I'll just put my PIN, and the system, once I've made the payment, will update to reflect that I have actually made payment for, you see, so payment has been received from me currently, and now this account is paid for, and it is currently not looking like it does not have any balances or anything. So status is complete. The person who paid is that number, and that is complete. So now we have the payment, we have the billing, we have the registration complete. The next step is to map. So I'd just like to mention a few things here. You can either do debt mapping, and debt mapping is really just being able to map clients who've not made payments within the local authorities, and being able to identify them by location, and figure out how to better go and do the collection for these payments that they owe the county or they owe the local authority. But we also have client mapping. Now, client mapping is when we just want to understand or to have a sense of how many people within our local authorities have registered for businesses within the county. So for that, we have 2 places where we can see. Today we look at client mapping. And here we just see all the clients that we have. If it's within Nairobi County, we can see the clients themselves, and then we can even go ahead and click on one of them to see a pop-up here of what exactly is needed, or what information is attached to that client. So we can see their name, their client type, what county they're in, their ID number, and even the sub-county. And then we have another client called Joyce, and you can see also some information, the ID number as well as their phone number. So that is client mapping, and this will help in the whole workflow of revenue management and revenue collection within the local authorities, being able to start from the actual registration of new businesses and new opportunities that are coming in, to finally being able to bill, make them pay, and finally map out and see how your revenue collection and your revenue management is looking like within the different counties. So that concludes our demo. I'd like to invite any questions or any comments from you, but I think I will leave it at that. Thank you for